Greetings my dudes and dudettes, and welcome to a bit of a special video, because you see, today we're talking about a weapon that I never actually made a video about, which is quite rare because I've covered the vast, and I do genuinely mean vast, majority of the weapons that we have in game. The weapon in question are the almighty Venka Prime, a pair of claws that do primarily slash damage with a nice splash of puncture, which nowadays is actually quite nice, and they sport a 32% crit chance, a 2.6 times crit multiplier, and a 24% status chance. Additionally, the Venka Prime have a unique, not necessarily mechanic, but rather a property where their combo counter actually goes up to 240 hits, allowing them to hit a 13 times combo multiplier. These have been in the game since 2016, they were released with Valkyrie Prime, and I've never made a video about these, and I've never made a video about the standard Venka either. Which honestly is kind of crazy, because I've been doing this for a long time and I've made a lot of videos, so let's finally give them a shot, shall we? You know, these are actually really good for an old weapon. Also, they can hit a 13x combo multiplier, so they're just straight up better than other weapons that even have slightly better stats than the Venka Prime. I am not quite sure about the stance, they're all pretty good, so let's try them out and see how we feel. I usually go with Vermilion Storm because it's the most fluid of the stances, and it also has the most pizzazz if we do a little yup, look at that. Four Riders definitely lose a bunch of points on the fluidity. The combos seem quite rigid. The dash is nice, but that's about it. Rapture is kind of the in-betweeny one. It's pretty fluid, but I don't think it's as cool as Vermilion Storm, so yeah. Vermilion Storm it is. We could go with Afflictions. There are some lifts and knockdowns in Vermilion Storm, if I remember correctly. Yep, there is a lift and 2 knockdowns there. 2 knockdowns here. Nothing there, and nothing there. I want to go Slash and Viral, because, well, obviously, but we do have a decent amount of puncture as well, so I think we don't have to run Prime Pressure Point, and we can stick to Condition Overload. And let's get Blood Rush for crit chance, Galvanized Steel for crit chance and damage. We do need Primed Reach because the base range is very low here. I want to do unranked Viral mods because we want Slash to be our highest damage type, because this changes the weighting of status procs. As you can see, Slash 18%, Viral 7.2. And we're gonna get the status chance from Weeping Wounds. Elementalist is a really big multiplier, and it's gonna help us with the status chance because, you know, we're losing a little bit by not running ranked dual stats. I just realized that we forgot about attack speed. I was like, why is this so slow and sluggish? I wonder, Damage is really good once we get to 13x combo though. Very nice. Well, I hate to see it go, but Primed Reach is the least important mod here. It's a bit of a bummer. Oh well. Berserker Fury goes in. Let's get a D under Elementalist. This will add a ton of damage, and it will give us some range, at least on heavies. Oh, this feels much better, even though we have barely any range now. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Claws with high attack speed feel phenomenal. This is gonna be a lot of extra damage. I'd rather have the Corrosive and Cold though. Absolute damage machine, a bit of an old school build to be fair, but you know, still works very, very nicely. I always wanted these because they look absolutely sick. Look at them. Gorgeous. The damage is great, don't get me wrong, but I really want more range. Yeah, we need to do something about this. This needs some tweaking. The damage is phenomenal, fantastic, fabulous, but the short range is just not doing it. Because it's just like, you know, back in the day this was fine, but nowadays we have slam setups, we have influence setups. This is just not doing it for me. Okay, here's the plan, and it's pretty simple. We switch Harold, hello, back to Viral, and just drop Viral from the Venka. This gives us 2 slots, which we can fill with Primed Reach. Don't have enough capacity, okay. And then something else. I guess for the time being, Blade, we can run Spring-Loaded Blade. Another V, coming right up, Primed Reach. I feel the temptation to run Gladiator Might. This would be very good actually. And there we go, one last Forma, Gladiator Might, for some extra crit damage and a little bit of extra crit chance as well. One thing I do want to say is that I'm building this for Slash because I want to. You'd probably be way better off building it for Influence, but I don't want to build every melee weapon for Influence. That's dumb. I know we have Tennokai, but it still feels kind of old school, and I love it. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. There are very few things that give me as much joy in this game as a good old Blender setup. Like, you know, influence is cool, slams are cool, but there's just something so special about this. Oh my god, that's so appropriate. Let's see who has the angrier claws, shall we? Come get some angst. Can I get a Tenukai proc? I don't think I can. Still though, that's good damage. Like for a dot setup, this is pure slash. That was good. I am very happy with the result here, so let's go do the thing. So, here's the final setup for the Venka Prime, and it's a pretty straightforward slash build. We have Vermilion Storm as our stance, though this one is completely up to you. I like Vermilion Storm, so I run Vermilion Storm. For the Tenukai trigger, we have Opportunities Reach, which gives you a bunch of extra range and also gives you a longer Tenukai window. I really like this because at some point, once you're doing enough damage, the best thing you can do is just hit more stuff, so more range is always good. For the actual mods, we have Condition Overload for damage, Blood Rush for crit chance, Galvanized Steel for crit chance and damage, Gladiator Might for crit damage and a bit of extra crit chance, Weeping Wounds for status chance, Galvanized Elementalist for status damage and status chance, Berserker Fury for attack speed, and Primed Reach for range. Now, as far as the arcane goes, I'm running Afflictions because Vermilion Storm has some lifts and knockdown, so we can utilize it, but it's, well, let's say, not adding that much. You will get very similar performance even without an arcane, so you don't necessarily have to invest into an arcane, but you can if you want to. Another kind of important thing here is that I'm using the Naramon Focus School all the time, so I use that to sustain my combo. If you're using a different Focus School, you're either gonna have to take out Gladiator Might and replace it with Gladiator Rush for the combo sustain, or you're gonna have to run Dexterity on your primary or secondary weapon. And finally, to take full advantage of Condition Overload, we're running a priming pet, which in my case is a Hound that primes Cold, Viro, Magnetic, Heat, Impact, Puncture, and Radiation. If you don't have a good priming pet or you're not priming the enemies at all, take out Condition Overload and replace it with Primed Pressure Point. The damage isn't going to be as good, but it's better than not priming the enemies with Condition Overload. Now, I deliberately went for a more old school build for the Venka because I think it fits it. This weapon should be slashing and dashing, right? This should be a slashing weapon. I don't think it makes an awful lot of sense for this to run Influence, even though an Influence setup would be absolutely phenomenal on this. Variety, as they say, is the spice of life. If you do the same thing on every single weapon, every single time, it's gonna become real boring real fast. Trust me. So I would actually recommend you give this somewhat old school build a shot. It's really fun, it does a lot of damage, and with the Tenukai procs, you actually cover a decent area with each slash as well. And that's pretty much it for today, so I thank you very much for watching, as always guys, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Then I would also like to extend a special thank you to all the channel members. Thank you very much guys, I really appreciate your support, it means a lot to me. And I'll see you next time, bye bye.